This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by the British heavyweight champion Fabio Wardley. I was about to say over Zoom there, but we're here in person, thankfully. Fabio, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How's things?
All good. It's been a minute since I last saw you. Obviously, I wasn't out in Saudi to see you retain your British crown against David Adeleye, so a good starting point for us. I've said to you in message, arguably, and probably the best performance I've seen from you. Very measured, very assured with everything you did, and very kind of meticulous. Just walk me through what you made of your performance and what you feel like you showed, which maybe we hadn't had the chance to see before.
Yeah, I was really happy with the performance. It went very much according to plan of how we drilled it, how we planned the things we wanted to put in place for it. It all went really nicely. To be honest, it felt like you say a really comfortable performance for me. It felt like I boxed well, was in control of the fight, got everything off that I needed to. It was a really measured performance, probably something you've not seen from me too much in stages of my career. But I think especially for that fight, that occasion and stuff, it was the right place to do that, so everyone can actually see, like, look, I can actually box probably if I decide to and don't want to start getting stuck in.
We obviously saw a very heated build-up between yourself and David leading into the fight, Fabio. Um, Specifically during the week, did you ever feel like the game plan you set, the way you went about things, might go a little bit out of the window, and there might have been a part of you which thought, "No, I want to stand here and I want to come at your head"?
Yeah, there was always going to be those emotions, but it was something that Ben and Rob drilled in me, really, is not to get sucked in, because that's the only place that would even out the fight. In all the other areas, I was better than him. I had him beat. So as long as I stuck to the game plan, and that moment, that getting stuck in, that clean finish, that knockout was gonna come. The thing was just patience and not to rush it and let it come when it actually comes naturally and not try and force it.
Obviously, given the build-up and everything that happened, did you feel a very sweet victory, I imagine?
Yeah, it was definitely the sweetest one of the lot. It gave me the most satisfaction of all of my wins to date. Mixed with the performance, the knockout as well, winning a few belts on top, it all rolled in really nicely to be quite a satisfying win.
So you're currently atop of those British heavyweights, looking to come at you, looking to challenge you. The likes of Sol Dacres, who I spoke to a couple of days ago, calling for you, Frazer Clarke there as well. Where do discussions currently sit in terms of the next chapter of your career?
I haven't actually had any solid chats with anyone as of yet. Immediately after the fight, I was just chilling out. I had a bit of time off, had a little holiday, and that went away for a bit. So I'm recently back. So I'll probably start having some chats over the next week or two, having some conversations, having a look at the landscape, seeing who's where and when's best for me to get back into it.
So as a free agent as well now, though, where do things sit on that front? Have you gotten any closer or any kind of thoughts about where you might want to go promotionally?
No, I'm still in the same place. I'm just doing whatever's best for me. That's the mindset I've always had for the duration of my career. Is one, I want to be in control of my career, and then that will always allow me to do whatever I feel is best for me without being tied up in long-term contracts or being forced into situations that maybe I don't want to. It always allows me to have the big fights as and when I want them, as and when they're there. You've seen in the past that sometimes promoters and stuff can get in way of fights and fighters fighting. So I'm trying to reduce as much as that happening for me as much as possible.
Reduce as much of it as possible. Is the plan still going to be to look at those other domestic names, like we say Fraser, the Souls, or is it to maybe move on now? Where do things sit on that front for you?
We're playing with both sides. We're having a look at options on either side of maybe we just sit in domestic scene for maybe a fight or two, or do we kick on? It probably seems more likely for the time being, at least, that I will stay domestic at least for one more, and then probably kick on after that. I think there's still some good domestic fights out there, so maybe one more done at British level, and then we're ready to move on.
Is the Fraser one that leads the way then on that note?
Yeah, it is. I think of the two obvious options, there's Sol Dacres, there's Frazer Clarke. Of them two, the bigger fight, the preference for me would be Frazer. I think it makes the most sense. It's the most interesting fight. He's got the most pedigree behind him as well, the most backing, more known and stuff. So the fight will be bigger in the sense. So that's probably the more likely one if it's the one I decide to do. But like I say, we're still talking with our lot and Boxer and things like that. So there's still conversations to be had.
Seen your few social media quips aimed towards Frazer. So, who's coming up with these, Fabio? Is it you, or have you got somebody who's telling you you should maybe do this?
It's funny. It's a collective, like the idea of it, or the idea of them being put together is like a collective thing between me and my team. And then the brains behind the operation is Nat Banks at Creative, they're my social media guys who run my social media. They put the videos together and stuff. So he's the one that I give him all the ideas and say like, look, I want this kind of looking like this and do that, a bit of this, and he does it and does the wizardry and puts it all together.
Fabio, just away from yourself, coming on to more heavyweight talk though. Obviously yesterday we had the Joshua-Wallin Wilder Parker double header announced out in Saudi Arabia, December 23rd. Away from that though, AJ is going to be teaming up with Ben Davison, your trainer, one of your trainers, for this fight with Otto-Wallin. You've obviously, I don't know how much you'd have seen of him in camp, but can you tell me from your brief maybe experiences what he's looked like?
I actually haven't seen him at all in the gym. I haven't. Ben's very particular when he's training his fighters, especially when they've got upcoming fights. So you get your own basically individual time slot and you work to that. So I haven't actually seen him in the gym. So I don't necessarily know what he's looking like. But under Ben, I think is a great choice for him. Like I can only speak from experience that I feel like I've come on leaps and bounds. I think you can see that in my performances. As you can see the difference in the performances of the last kind of year and a half, 2 years, where Ben's been a part of the team of that slow build to me becoming a more composed, put together fighter. And not saying AJ needs that, but he definitely needs something a bit different, maybe a different aspect, a different look at boxing, or his style at least. And I think Ben's the right person for that.
Obviously, we know Ben previously working with Tyson. We mentioned yourself there. Obviously, he's working with Anthony Joshua now. AJ's been floating about specifically these last few years with different trainers. Otto-Wallin made the point that on 6 weeks' notice, I know that they'd have had a longer, but with the fight being official for 6-7 weeks now, it's just not enough time for them to gel to really get an understanding. Do you understand where Otto's coming from on that point?
I can understand it. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. You're not going to be best mates in 6 weeks and have it all figured out. That's not how it goes. But I think AJ and Ben believe that they don't need that. They don't need that to beat Wallin. They like AJ's got experience with southpaws in the first place. Obviously with Usyk, that's some of the best probably southpaw experience you can get. So he's sparred southpaws in preparations and camps and build up. So he's already got a wealth of knowledge there. There's just a few things he needs to check extra boxes with for this camp in particular. But I don't see it as being a major problem. And they've worked together previously before, like kind of not as head trainer and whatever else, but Ben's been on the sidelines kind of doing little bits with him and help him out, so they are very familiar with each other anyway, so half of that's already ticked off.
With the fight itself, what are your thoughts on Joshua versus Wallin?
Good. Still tricky. Still never not in any way a foregone conclusion. You saw how he performed against Fury. A really good performance, and then obviously with Gassier of the win, that's a great performance as well. So he's flying high, to be honest. He's doing well. Like off that loss to Fury, he's still got a lot of credit for it. So to come in with AJ, he's going to be bouncing. And even saw him at the press conference yesterday, giving it to AJ. He's full of it. He's full of confidence, and that's always dangerous for a fighter. And we've seen AJ, I'm not going to say struggle with southpaws, because Usyk's just a different puzzle entirely. He got through Charles Martin very easily, so there's a bit of difference there. But he's not the most comfortable with them, so that could be a potential banana slip. But at the same time, he's still got a lot of experience using them in camps and working with them and stuff, so he can bring all that through.
Saw Jarrell Miller very vocal towards Anthony Joshua yesterday. For many people, maybe the highlight of the press conference. What did you make of his back and forth with Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, he definitely picked up the energy of it when he got on the mic. But yeah, nothing new from Jarrell Miller. You always know what you're going to get from him. He's always going to be entertaining, try and steal the show in some way, and he's going to have a lot to say for himself. But it's more so about what he does on the night with Daniel. He'd probably be more focused on Daniel than I would be about AJ right now.
It's a very interesting fight, that one with Daniel Dubois. Tough comeback fight for Daniel on the back, obviously, of the Alexander Usyk fight. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's probably my favourite fight on the card. I think everyone yesterday was asking me questions about which one I like the most, because there's so many to pick from. But for me, I think that was the one, just because it had the most intrigue for me. It was quite interesting, because Miller's a very big, strong guy, come forward fighter. Like I said, throws a lot of punches, puts a lot of pressure on fighters. So to see how Daniel deals with that coming off the loss to Usyk and what he's going to be like, because I know in the build-up Miller's going to try and get to him on fight weeks and stuff like that and see if that's going to have any toll on him whatsoever. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch unfold.
Walter Parker was not a fight which I think many people were expecting to see this year. He's come around now, though. Deontay hasn't fought for almost 2 years. Joe Parker's been a bit more active. But how would you look to summarise or break down that fight?
I think the biggest thing that everyone's talking about, or a lot of people were talking about yesterday, were the gap in time in the ring as of recently. Obviously, Wilder's only had one round in, I don't know, what was it now, like a year and a half, maybe 2 years or something. It's a long time. It's a long time. It was something I actually asked Malik Scott about yesterday when we had him on the broadcast. But he said Wilder's consistently been in the gym, been training. We've been working in terms of, even if he's not physically training, he's watching videos, he's doing mental things, so like that. So he's saying he's still sharp, but it's different on the night. It's different to find out on the night actually how you turn up and how you feel under the lights. And with Parker, almost similar a bit to Wallin, is riding high on confidence, to be honest, coming off good wins in a good place and is ready to really kick on. So I think he could be very interesting, because once you've seen with Wilder now, he's not the best if you come forward at him and stick it on him and close that space. When you open it up, it's not ideal to be on the end of those long right hands. But once you close the gap on him, nudge him back and getting pushed back a bit, you can actually get some good work off, and that should work quite well for Parker, to be honest.
We've seen over social media, it's been spoke about that Fury-Usyk fight. We're going to have the announcement later on. Finally here. But has your opinion at all changed, Fabio, on the back of Tyson's performance against Francis Ngannou? What do you think goes down when they meet next year?
I don't know if it's necessarily changed. I don't take too much from that fight. I accept it for, I think that Fury underestimated Ngannou a bit, and he just got caught slipping in a couple of moments, and very clearly with the knockdown and stuff as well. I don't think in any way he would carry that mindset through to the Usyk fight. You know, as a fighter, that big fights, big occasions bring it out of you in terms of wanting to push yourself in training and everything and building up to the fight. So I think we'll see the best of both of them, to be honest. Obviously, Usyk's always a consummate professional, always training hard and always puts good work in. But with Fury as well, I think he's going to, especially coming off that kind of contentious win, he's going to be like, right, okay, I need to do something here.
How much pressure is there on Tyson to try to reproduce that form that we've seen previously? Because a lot of people look at it since the Wilder fight. He obviously went into a fight with Dillian, his mandatory, came through that relatively comfortably. Chisora, fourth fight, not the one which everybody wanted to see. Sorry, the third fight, not the one everybody wanted to see. And then Ngannou exhibition. Can you understand why people started to think maybe he's slightly on the decline?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because I think, especially for someone like Fury, he rises to the occasion, and I think as of late, they've not been massive occasions for him. I think he's been quite comfortable with, like, I think I'm going to win the Chisora fight. I'm pretty confident I'm going to win the Ngannou fight and whatever. So he goes into him a bit like, whatever. But like I say, with this, I think when you're in there with a high caliber opponent, and this one will be for all the marbles as well, all the belts will be on the line. So there's enough incentive there to make him really turn that switch and kick into his high gear.
Just away from that, Fabio, whilst got his few fights to end the year, and I want to get your thoughts on the horizon next weekend. 2 bouts over in Dublin. Chantel Cameron, Katie Taylor too. Do you expect anything different this time around?
No, I don't think so. Like, it's hard to ever really like bet against or count out Katie Taylor, but obviously after the last win and stuff, Chantel looked very strong, powerful. Just looked like she could have really kept going. Looked like she had still a lot more in the tank. Whereas Katie seemed like almost she was fading as the rounds went on. So I don't really see it going too much different. No.
David Benavidez, Demetrius Andrade takes place during the night. An interesting matchup at 168. Again, your thoughts, please, Fabio.
It's a good fight. Definitely a good fight. One that I think people have wanted to see for a little while. But with Benavidez, I think at least he's got that one pretty comfortably.
And then Regis Prograis and Devin Haney, December 9th. again, a fantastic matchup at 140.
Yeah, great matchup. Great matchup. Interesting pressure as well with them two going back and forth with each other. Another one that should have a pretty nice build all the way through with them two, because they've both got very vocal camps or very vocal fighters themselves as well. Yeah, great matchup. Probably I'd still give it to Haney as well. I don't think Regis's last performance was ideal. So I probably would have always edged it to Haney, but especially coming off that as well, probably a bit more so now as well.
And the last one, just before obviously we see that Saudi mega card on December 23rd, the week before, Sonny Edwards and Bam Rodriguez. That's got everybody talking, everybody excited. Fabio, which way do you lean there?
Definitely lead towards Sonny. Skills-wise and obviously experience-wise, he's done a bit more. So I think Sonny is the one to back, and I'd always back a fellow Brit anyway. But I do genuinely think he's got that covered. But again, another one where both of the characters are very vocal, and Sonny's been calling for it for ages and wanting to get it on. So it's just, I'm glad it's here and he can get that ticked off.
Well, Fabio, before we wrap this up, you get to enjoy, I imagine, the remainder of this year before you really start to kick on next year. If everything aligns how you would like it to, when would you like to be out by?
Early point of next year. Yeah, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait too long. I don't need too much of a hiatus. Just a little bit of time off, a few weeks to myself, and then get back to the gym, get back on things, and start cleaning up the rest of the division.
Well, Fabio, listen, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. I'm sure I'll see you in the build-up to all of those fights we've just run through, and potentially even out in Saudi if you get dragged along by Ben. So thank you for speaking to me, and I will see you later on.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.